Hi everyone. I'm talking. I'm gonna talking. I'm gonna talking about my paper. My paper's title is "Dynamic Effect of the Foreign Economic Shocks on the Korean Port Industry." Yeah, contents. In chapter one, I introduce the objective and methodology of this paper. In chapter 2, I'll explain literature reviews, specifically relationship between the foreign economy and the port industry, and identification of foreign shocks. In chapter 3, I'll present open economy power farm model used in this paper, specifically structural power model and estimation method will be discussed. In chapter 4, I present estimation result and give an interpretation of the result. In chapter 5 is about the conclusion of this paper. Chapter 1, Introduction. Objective. This paper examined the business cycle in the Korean port industry triggered by foreign economic fluctuations, specifically the dynamic effect of shocks to the foreign economic factors on transportation volume of the Korean port industry are studied. This paper focuses on the role played by foreign economic activity in the business cycle of domestic port industry. Next, I will give the methodology of this paper. There are a few of difficulties in undertaking a quantitative study of dynamic impact of global economic shocks on the domestic port industry. First, the vector autoregression type model, for short, VR type model, has traditionally been employed as the framework for analyzing the dynamic impact of economic shocks on the macroeconomics. However, the shocks must be identified for analyzing the effect using the bar model. Incorrect identification of the shocks results in misleading inference regarding the causality of a business cycle. The previous literature indicates that one important reason and that the shocks cannot be accurately recognized is that the small scale traditional bar does not adequately account for an individual's economic activities while making decisions. The bar model combines the bar model typically used in the analysis of macroeconomy with the factor analysis, as the bar model offers the advantage of incorporating a large amount of information obtained from a large set of economic indices into a bar model. It is considered useful in modeling the central bank's reaction function or analyzing the international business cycle. However, it has a drawback in the sense that it does not provide an economic interpretation of the estimated factor. This problem can be overcome by using the structural power bar model, for short, S power, by proposed by Belviso and Milani, and Fonseca and P, based on the Bernanke et al. The industry level economy has not yet been studied using the structural power model, which has been used to study the broader economy. The structural power model adopts in this study offers the advantage of examining the transmission mechanism through the port industry by identifying the factor economically. In addition, this analysis can contribute to drawing useful implication in establishing the port industry policy by measuring the relative importance of the domestic and foreign factor through the variance decomposition of forecast error. Now I'll give literature reviews. Literature review has two parts. One part is a relationship between the foreign economy and the port industry. Yeah. There are second part is this one. Second part, yeah. Okay. Sorry. There are three economic aspects that implies importance of the freight economy to a business cycle of the port industry. First, there is a direct relationship between transportation industry and the general economic activity. Raleigh and Yao examined the business cycle in U.S. transportation sector since the 1990s. They found a closer relationship between the business cycle of the U.S. macroeconomy and transportation service. Mueller et al. Emphasized the strong relationship between economic activity and transportation. Consequently, they developed a new economic indicator to study the business cycle in this industry. And Postovsky showed a strong interdependence between freight transport and GDP growth. Mierman and De Bande analyzed the relationship between general economic activity and the volume of seaborne transportation, but they concluded that the GDP measure is not a suitable variable for the determinant of the freight transportation based on the co-integration analysis. A and C examined the business cycle of the U.S. port industry using the dynamic factor model. Second, the Korean economy is, as we know, the Korean economy is a small open economy, which helps to understand the relevance of the foreign economy to business cycle of the Korean port industry. According to the OECD, the proportion of the sum of the import and export in the Korean economy was 72.9% of the GDP in 2020, whereas consequently, the potential role played by the foreign economy in the port industry can be inferred. In addition, Paris and Lange analyzed the effect of the economic recession on the port industry and concluded the 2008 credit crunch and the subsequent economic crisis generated the volume of freight transport and lead to significant reduction in the value. Third, let's do. Since the 1990s, the globalization of the economy or global value chain, for short GVC, has identified making international commercial activity increased significant for the variety of domestic port industry. Thus, the proliferation of the global supply chain increased the link of domestic economy to the foreign economy, thereby resulting in an increase in the production of the countries through the supply chain. Also, Kilian et al. And Paris and Langen reported globally integrated international supply chain increased the interdependence between economies and importance of the trade economies. Now we are in chapter 3. Chapter 3 is about open economy power model used in this paper. Right? Yeah, first one, structural power model. Uh, Structural power model has two parts. First one is measurement equation or observational equation. Second one is transition equation. Yeah. First one, yeah, measurement equation. Measurement equation is equation one. Xt is equal to large lambda ft plus et. Et is error term, and xt is the series of observable data set, and large lambda is the factor loading, and the dimension is m by k, and we assume that xt can be explained by the variety of unobservable factors, which can be summarized. Factor can be summarized by the k by 1 vector of factors. And we assume that xt can be grouped into xt1, xt2, xti based on the approximate economic category. And xti is assumed to be mi by 1 vector. This study examined the arbitrary element of xt. For example, xti can be explained by FTI. FTI is a kind of a factor. This implies that ft is divided into ft1, ft2, fti, which correspond to various economic concepts. Yeah, this is the this is the reason we can call this model as structural power model. FTI is the ki by 1 vector. Thus, the observation equation can be written as equation 2. Yeah. Next equation is transition equation. The foreign economic variables that are included in xt are grouped to have a clear economic meaning. And in addition, it is assumed that each component of xt is explained by only one fact. That is, ki is equal to 1. Next, the dynamics of ft1 through yt is obtained from the fact-augmented vector autoregulation model, power model. Here, P, large P, L is a matrix of a polynomial of leg operator D, and PD is error term, and we assume that D is equal leg structure. D implies a leg structure, and we assume that D is equal to 2. Next, estimation method. Yeah, as you can see this slides, we adopted Bayesian estimation to estimate the factor loading and parameters, and specifically we follow the strategy adopted by Belbiso and Milani and Fonseca and Pepanoic. Yeah, in chapter 4, I'll explain the estimation result and give interpretation. Yeah, data. Uh, XT variables include inflation, GDP growth, core rate, and MP3 growth. Yeah. And YT consists of transportation volume of Korean port, Korean GDP growth, and some of volume of export and import. Sample period. Uh, this sample starts from 2002 first quarter through 2021 first quarter. So data is quarterly. And figure one shows the variation of the raw transform quarterly GDP around the trend. US GDP, quarterly US GDP around the trend calculated using the HB field and variation of the domestic freight transportation calculated using the same method. Yeah. Yeah. And this slide shows the estimated foreign economy factors. As you can see, these figures, the first one is the foreign real economic factor. Yeah, as you can see, around 2008 and 2019, yeah, the level of economic factor is very low, and global liquidity factor. Left bottom side of this picture. Yeah, as you can see, the COVID pandemic period, the global economic factor growth very large. Okay. Yeah. Next, the impulse response analysis. Yeah. This picture, figure 3 shows the response of transportation volume of Korean port industry to the foreign shocks. Okay, foreign shocks. As I said in my paper, foreign shocks has four. First one is foreign real economic shocks. Second one is foreign inflation shock. Third, foreign liquidity shock, and foreign rate shocks. Yeah. Yeah, the left upper part of figure 3 displays the estimate of the dynamic effect of shocks to the foreign real economic activities on the domestic seaborne freight transportation. It is clear that the unanticipated growth in world industrial production is projected to have a considerable impact on the domestic freight transportation. The left middle part of figure 3 shows that freight transportation exhibit positive response following the global inflation shocks. Also, the left bottom part of figure 3 shows the estimated response of domestic freight transportation to shocks to the world MP growth. The domestic freight movement rose after the shocks by more than 1%, as is clear, and the reaction was statistically significant. Yeah, as you can see in these figures, yeah, the blue line represent the 90% confidence interval. Yeah. Yeah. The next is next table. This table shows us the result of variance decomposition. Table 1 presents the result of the forecast error variance decomposition of freight transportation. It is evident that 49.2% of the variance in the seaborne transportation can be driven by the shocks to the real world economic activity. 18.27% by the shocks to the world inflation pact, 9.7% by the shocks to the world pact, 9.7% by the shocks to the world liquidity pact, and only 6.09% by the shocks to the domestic economic growth. Yeah, this part is about impulse response function and the variance decomposition conducted by the measure of weighted average. This section presents the estimation result and provide the interpretation based on the factor constructed using the weighted sum over the estimation period of time series taken into consideration in the earlier section. In this mean method, the proportion of each country's GDP was used as the weight and estimation result of the bar model was obtained using these alternative methods. Figure 4 of our paper shows the estimated impulse response of the variable. And this table is about the variance decomposition conducted by the same method. Yeah, now we in chapter 5 conclusion part. In this paper, I estimated the business cycle in Korean port industry focused on the dynamic effect of the shocks to the foreign economy on this port industry based on the structural power model using the Bayesian Gibbs sampling method. The results of this paper are as follows. First, it was shown that foreign economic activity statistically affected the domestic port freight. Furthermore, the rise in the world inflation boosted the transportation of the seaborne freight in the immediate aftermath of the shocks, but the impact of this disappeared within a year. The increase in the world liquidity stimulated the transportation volume, but decades after 5 quarters. Moreover, the variance decomposition analysis showed that 49.21% of the variation in the transportation volume could be contributed to foreign real economic activities. Thank you for listening to my papers. Yeah, thank you.